I now see that personally the value I see in this for us and for others is just there's so much actually at stake. Like I think it's actually a very powerful rebellious act.
Yeah.
The idea of like, look, I really think we've been looking to power change in the wrong places, from the wrong, and I think in a way, and it's not arrogance. I generally see this. It's part also of my expertise of our job. Like, so through simple conversations about meaningful things,
Yes,
we can set the record straight. We can actually, hey, yo, guys, you know what? Nobody's doing it on purpose, but innocently, there are a couple of innocent misunderstandings at the top.
yeah,
And let's kind of have a look. And to have a look, we gotta take a moment and look at the simplest principles behind all these things we chase, right? Like innovation, impact, whatever, creativity, influence, uh, productivity, all these things that are associated with leadership. Yeah, we look at, but the value of like, hey, are we sure it works that way? It's such a powerful question. The leading question in our sort of, in what we're doing is, when it was the last time you had a new thought about leadership, right? But that is such it might seem like an innocent question. I think it bites. Like it's such really, can we afford to do things, whether it's leadership, innovation, parenting, anything, when the last new thought we had about it was 4 years ago, 10 years ago? Never. Right? Like, and that to me is the core. Now it goes in different ways, but it's the core of what we're doing here. If someone would have to sound like, yeah, but why? What's the key point here? To me is this. And what also occurred to me playing this morning was, to create, to imagine a new world, to reimagine the future, to create a world that we like better. It seems to me that, when we look at change as the big word, like I was trying to think, what are the pillars? And the two words that kept coming were like, engagement and transformation. Right? Like, because there's no, and I don't think you can fully be engaged. You can, if you're really engaged with something, you will transform. And there's no real transformation if you're not engaged. You're in the story, in the conversation, you're actively creating. One of the keywords that come to mind when I think of Timo or what he does is engagement. It's about, whether it's through the storytelling, but it's engaging an audience, engaging the storyteller, engaging, right, creatively. And the keyword that I think of when I think of my job is transformation, as I'm in transformative conversations. And I just like, oh, nice.
That's framed like that. That's two words that go together very well.
They do, right?
One leads to the other. High five, man.
And they are two different things only on the vocabulary. I feel like if you, as I said, when you go to the core of engagement, you'll find transformation. And if you go to the core of transformation, you'll find engagement, right?
That's totally right.
It's just sort of two angles to come at it from.
Yes, I agree with that. That's wonderful. Well, to reflect back what you said there, are we sure it works like that? By having simple conversations about meaningful things, we can set the record straight. Yeah, that's the sort of statement.
We have so many cool taglines, by the way.
I know. Well, I'll just type.
Simple conversations about meaningful things. Let's set the record straight.
Yeah, I'll put it in quotes so it sounds more important. In quote marks.
All right, in closing this little excursus, little experiment, like, so when we done, this is kind of how we are seeing the power of it. Looking outward, If you had to invite someone to listen in first, like, hey, look, we're doing this, we're having these simple conversations, the door is open, you only have to click play to listen in. Why would you invite someone to listen? What's on offer for that? Why is it a good idea in your mind for someone to peek in and listen?
They've got to be ready for it, like an awful lot of transformation. I think we're at a period across the world right now. I'm thinking of Climate Week, where our brother AY is charging around Manhattan right now with a team, and listen to other people who are there trying to make sense of global leaders all coming together and geopolitics smashing with climate. The sense I get coming back to me only this morning, listening to some of that, brings me to this conversation with the same thought, which is we've got to find the people who are ready, hungry, open to do something different. And I think lots of people are, but it's activating them and connecting them so that they can light up everything else while everyone else is distracted with something else. Our little part of that is to find people who are ready to have a different thought about leadership, who can feel it in their bones. That's a very personal connection.
Yeah.
I picture that most immediately in a room with somebody. That, the thing that only a physical room can give you, really, certainly accidentally, is standing alongside somebody at a little table, dicking about with a teaspoon and your coffee and the plunger. It's those tiny offhand little connections that lead to meaningful things, always, which is that little unglamorous vignette I've just painted there is maybe sums up what we're talking about. Those effortless moments that are the truth, that unlock ways of doing things that are much more effective.
So if you say, like, that's me, man, like you describe me, I'm ready, I'm hungry, I want to see it differently, why would I watch listening to this conversation?
To know you're not alone, to know you're not losing your mind. You might be in a sector where you do feel very alone, and that could be for any number of reasons. I'm picturing people with responsibility, people in leadership responsibility, but talking to us might feel like there is another way. We're not asking for any commitment to anything to each other, but if you join the conversation, what might that unlock for you?
Yeah,
do you need something new to unlock what you're feeling and unlock your
potential?
potential?
I think I agree, like DC, and it goes back to that, when was the last time you had a new thought? I think what's enough already by just listening in, even before stepping in and the room is open, and everyone is welcome. But even just like you were telling me, like, like going through the edits of our conversations, that, man, there is a lot of enormous, engaging and transformative power for new insights, new thoughts. And I just want to say that as a leader, I think we're only as powerful as our capacity of seeing things new, of connecting to the unknown. Like, I don't think that the way I see it, that a leader is necessarily someone really good at managing what's already there. A leader, to me, speaks of someone stepping into the unknown, stepping every day into a new way of looking, to a new way of imagining something. And to me, this might sound like a bold promise, but I really think it's an offer. Is you spend an hour with us listening to a conversation, you come away potentially with a completely different way of seeing you as a leader, where your best comes from and what you can do. And I dare say that, like, you might come into the conversation with some sort of really hard challenges in front of you, and an hour later, after listening in, looking again, say like, oh, it looks incredibly different, because the new idea I have changed the game.
Yeah.
So it's yes, you're not alone, but also that there's enormous power, the way I see it, in this conversation. And the last step is, hey, you listen in, you actually started having new thoughts about leadership.
Yeah.
Well, then, as you were writing, send us a line and join, sit at the table.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you got something from being a fly on the wall, playing the recording. What can we create if you sit at the table for one conversation? Right? What does that look like? We'll find out as we do it, right? But I'm imagining we literally sit in a virtual table, and we might be, instead of the two of us, 3, 4, 5. And it is not to, as you were saying, create content, it's to have that conversation. And we're perfectly okay if that conversation, the only people who will ever know about it is you, me, and the people sitting at the table. This is not about live streaming. Like, in a world obsessed with reach, we are betting on deep, right? On depth, right? We're like, no, I think if we can have one deeper conversation with one person, might have a massive impact on a scale than a really wide reach.
Wow.
Shallow field.
In a world obsessed with reach, we're betting on deep.
That's pretty good. I don't know who said that. Like, I just
T-shirt. Stop what you're doing and make a T-shirt now. Yes. There it is. That really is the spirit of. And I think that's probably why, so beautifully expressed, that's why that line that fell out of us last time, we're not making content, we're having conversations, resonated, because that's unlocking and affirming what we've kind of always implied to ourselves, but really getting definite. This is not getting broadcast. We're not putting it out on a feed. We're not going to post bits on LinkedIn. Yes, there's no ban, but I like the idea that we don't. It's an open secret. It's sitting there on the web. It will be when people...
An open secret. That's good.
You know, and we just are very open constantly to who to invite in and see where it goes.